The ones who are sad parents of a nursing student who died when a drunk driver hit her and took off have promised to finish her bucket list with the help of the woman who got her heart. Losing a loved one is an experience that doesn't go in a straight line, unlike most things that make us feel sad or angry. Once we've felt those emotions and dealt with them, we rarely feel them as deeply inside as we did before. There is no set way to deal with grief. We can feel so lost and sad at times. Sometimes we are thankful for the time we got to spend with our loved ones. Then, in an instant, we can feel angry and bitter again because they left us here alone to deal with not having them with us anymore. Grief makes us feel things that no other event in our lives can make us feel. And because loss is so permanent, it seems almost cruel that we have to go through the pain we do after it. People are very good at getting along with others. If you don't agree, try living alone and not leaving your apartment for weeks or months, like some of us have to do because of the pandemic. Our mental health depends on being able to connect with other people. The most important parts of these ties are the people we love. When they disappear out of the blue, we lose a part of our support system and a part of our lives. Before she died, Christina Chesterman never even came close to doing a few of the things on her bucket list. She was 21 years old when an allegedly drunk driver hit her as she rode her bike home after a long day of studying with other nursing students. The driver then took off. But soon after she died in September of last year, her wish to save someone's life came true more than once. They promised to finish it by crossing off the goals she hadn't been able to reach. People from all over the world have agreed to help, and one of them is the woman who got Ms. Chesterman's heart as an organ donation. Ms. Chesterman said that she thought Christina knew on some level that she wouldn't live long. She was always in a hurry, and 3 weeks before she died, she called me out of the blue to tell me how proud she was of me. We didn't know she had ever made a bucket list. One of the things was meant to save a person's life, and Chesterman said she still feels a lot of grief. She said, "There are still days when it's so hard that I just don't get out of bed." Meeting Vieira and other people who Christina helped has helped her deal with her pain. Chesterman said she wants to find out more about Doctors Without Borders and other non-profit and non-government organizations that Christina wanted to help after she got her nursing degree from college. She said, "I want to see the world the way Christina did. That's how I feel since I lost her. I want to see the best in people and live my life like she did." Christina's list could be in 4 places at the same time. Go to Venice, learn to play chess, beat someone at chess, and save someone's life. You own 2 pieces of land, and one of them has animals on it. Run my own business or own one. Get married, start a family, and learn how to fly a plane. Visit 4 of the world's 7 wonders. Visit all 50 states by flying first class. Take a trip in a hot air balloon. Jump out of a plane, skydive, or ride a camel. Explore every continent. Be known as the girl with the smiley face. Stop a fight between 2 guys who were fighting over me. Be a part of homecoming court. Run through a field of poppies and see the falls. Drive Route 66 and go to the Smithsonian. Even though she didn't do it by being a nurse, she did it by giving away her organs. She was an amazing person, and people will always remember her. We never thought she would pass away. Miss Chesterman, a student at Chico State University, was riding her bike home from the library on September 20, 2013. Hoover hit her and threw her 120 feet before running away. Later that night, he was taken into custody at his apartment while Ms. Chesterman was on a machine to keep her alive at the nearby Enloe Medical Center. Doctors called her parents and told them to get to Miss Chesterman's bedside as soon as possible, even though it would take them 3 hours to get there. A stay-at-home mom named Miss Chesterman said, "It was a very long, sad summer drive because we didn't know what we were going to find. When nurses in the intensive care unit told us she might not look like herself, we knew it was bad, but we never thought she would die. When we saw her, she had blood around her eyes and ears, but she looked very calm, like she was sleeping." Doctors had to wait 2 days before they could test Ms. Chesterman to see if her brain was working. During that time, her heartbroken family started to figure out what had happened to get her to the hospital where she was fighting for her life. Miss Chesterman said that she was hit while riding her bike across a bridge. She was so close to home that she could see her apartment building. A man was driving by and saw papers all over the road. He stopped to look around, and that's when he found Christina's body. He called 911 while 2 homeless men sat with Christina, held her in their arms, and told her she would be okay and to pray. "It makes me feel better to know that she wasn't alone." On September 24, 2015, doctors found no sign of brain activity and pronounced Miss Chesterman dead. "The hardest thing I've ever had to do was say my last goodbye. She was kept alive with a ventilator for 2 more days while people were found to receive her organs. Miss Chesterman said that during those 2 days, family and friends came in and out of her hospital room to say goodbye. People we didn't know invited us into their homes and gave us food, a place to shower, and a place to sleep. These acts of kindness showed us how much love there is in the world. The hardest thing I've ever had to do was say my last goodbye. The last time I held her, I didn't want to let go. A family friend who desperately needed a transplant got one of Miss Chesterman's kidneys. Then, in the months that followed, Mr. and Mrs. Chesterman started looking for the other 4 strangers whose lives their daughter had saved. Her pancreas and kidney were given to a diabetic man who was 42 years old. Her liver had been cut in half and given to a 9-month-old baby whose mother missed her. Also, Mrs. Chesterman are still in touch, and a 66-year-old man who didn't speak English but learned how to say thank you and I love you to Miss Chesterman. Finally, her heart went to a woman with congestive heart failure named Susan Vieira. She was put in touch with the Chesterman family after a local news station ran a story about the bucket list they had found by putting together the few details she had been given about her donor. Like how old she was, her gender, and how she died. Mrs. Chesterman said that she figured out that it could be Christina. The Transplant Network told us this, and Susan said she would help Christina do anything on her bucket list that she was healthy enough to do. Susan used to work as a nurse at the same hospital where Christina did her internship and was inspired to become a nurse. There were so many things that tied them together. It was as if Christina had chosen Susan herself. We'll do everything on our list as a family over the course of our lives. There were also other things on Ms. On Chesterman's list. She wanted to go skydiving, visit every continent, drive Route 66, and, most importantly, be remembered as the smiley girl. As soon as Mrs. Chesterman found the list, she posted it on Facebook, and people from all over the world came forward to offer their help. One woman said she would drive Route 66 with Ms. Chesterman's picture in the passenger seat, and another said she would go skydiving. As her story spread around the world, more and more people came forward and posted pictures of themselves with Ms. Chesterman's picture at different landmarks. This helped her realize her dream of seeing the world. Mr. and Mrs. Chesterman took their late daughter on a ride in a hot air balloon, a flight in an airplane, and a trip to Niagara Falls. One of the more unusual things they did was run through a field of poppies with Ms. Vieira to act out a scene from The Wizard of Oz. She said that there are some things on Christina's list that we can't help her with, like stopping a fight between 2 guys over her. We've already done some of them, like get married and have kids, but we'll do the rest as a family over the course of our lives. In addition to crossing things off her list, they are building the Christina Chesterman Medical Clinic in Nigeria in memory of their daughter. They also set up a memorial foundation that gives a $5,000 scholarship every year to the nursing student at California State University who is most like Christina. So far, they have raised enough money to keep the foundation going for 30 years. Hoover, who is from Ohio, is 1 year into the 7-year sentence he got after pleading no contest to driving under the influence and leaving the scene of a felony accident. Mrs. Chesterman asked Hoover, "Are you sorry?" in a letter that got to the court and was read out loud.